I believe that words have power. I believe that words have meaning. And I don't want my words or my thoughts to hold me back by putting negative thoughts into my mind. I want to approach my goals from a positive place. And to do that for me, I want to use words that uplift and encourage me. Hi, I'm Chris LeBrun, your host of the Wholistic Productivity Podcast. As someone who's never been afraid of dreaming big and going for it all, I often find myself with a lot on my plate. I'm a husband and father, a nonprofit fundraiser, and an entrepreneur. What I've realized is my view of productivity was pretty toxic. After decades of believing that in order to do more, you had to work harder, I began to see productivity as this beautiful thing. Holistic productivity is the idea that you can accomplish your professional, personal, and purpose-driven goals in a healthy way, and doing so will make you happier and more fulfilled. Join me each week as we break down myths about productivity, share practical tips for maximizing your time, energy, and focus, and hear from others about their productivity journey. This is the Wholistic Productivity Podcast. Thank you so much for being here for episode number 24 of the Wholistic Productivity Podcast. You know, I talk all the time about my purpose, the reason that I do this podcast, and that is to help you dream big, plan smart, and live fully. I throw that around all the time. Again, if you listen to this show, I know you've heard me talk about that. But I want you to think today about what would happen if you removed just one of those phrases. The outcome is very different. Our life looks very different if we're not doing one of those three things. If you don't dream big, you're living small. You may find success, but you're missing out on something greater, that bigger thing that you could have had if you were dreaming big. If you don't plan smart, it's going to be a lot harder for you as you try to achieve your goals, and you may miss out on the possibility of achieving them altogether because you have not planned smart. You are not working strategically to reach those goals. And if you don't live fully, well, really, I mean, what good are your big dreams and your planning if you're not living fully, if you're not reaching your potential and having that fulfilling, meaningful life that we are all looking for? I know from experience that life is so much better when we have all three of these elements in our life, and that's what I want for me, and that's what I want for you. Again, thank you just so much for being here. I'd love to know what it means in your life to dream big, plan smart, and live fully. You can email the show at achieve@holisticproductivity.com. You can connect on the website or through social media, but just take a moment today and share with me what it looks like for you to dream big, plan smart, and live fully. Now, I have a fun episode for you today. It's probably a little bit shorter than you're used to, especially with the interviews that we've had recently, but it is an important lesson for us to talk about, and something that I'm excited about sharing. I think it's going to be fun. We are looking at some of the words and phrases that I have banned from my vocabulary. I've banned these words and phrases. Now, just to be clear, this is a choice that I've made for myself, and I don't judge people for using these phrases. I'm not going to look down on anybody. I'm going to explain today why I've banned them and what I use instead that fits more in line with this idea of holistic productivity. Once you hear that, you can decide for yourself if this is something that you want to follow, if you want to stick with the words that you've been using. But I think it's just going to be a fun little look at some of these words and phrases that I know you have probably heard before out there. The first one is grind. Now, how do we use this? You hear people all the time saying, well, keep grinding, or rise and grind. It's a fun little way to talk about your goals and things on social media, but it creates almost this whole macho image of productivity. And that's just not really for me. And again, it's not in line with the idea of holistic productivity. Think about some of the other uses for this word. The first thing that comes to my mind is when my brakes are grinding. And if you've had that happen, I know you're hearing that sound right now. It means it's time to get new brakes. And your brake pads have outlived their usefulness, and at this point you are probably damaging your rotors by continuing to drive and use these brake pads that are done. They've given up. They've been outlived. If you are constantly grinding, you are going to get worn down as well. It means that you're going at a pace that cannot be sustained. You are doing so many things that you are grinding to the point of failure, and you will feel it at some point. I understand this idea of grinding is talking about your resolve, or working through the hardships, or doing whatever it takes. And that's good stuff. I mean, it's good to have that resolve and that work ethic. But the word that I prefer to use instead of grind is drive. It still conveys the idea of motivation and commitment, but it also has this element of movement. I talk all the time about a goal roadmap, and now we are moving through that goal roadmap on our way to our destination, which is achieving our goals. It just has that extra element that really supports this holistic productivity mentality and mindset. And it's a more balanced word, in my opinion. So that's why I use drive instead of grind. Now, the next word on my no-no list is hack. And again, I know that there are lots of uses and definitions for this word, but the first one that comes to mind for me is a computer hack, right? We hear about this all the time, cyber attacks, cyber hacks. This is not a positive thing. The other word that I've used all the time, or way of using this word, is hacking up a lung, right? It's gross. It's disgusting. It means I'm sick. It means there's something wrong on the inside, and nobody wants to think about that. It also brings up the image, the idea that someone who can't hack it, they're not able to actually do the thing that they're setting out to do. And that's not really a positive thing either. But we see people talking all the time about life hacks, and you can watch Instagram reels where everybody's showing you the different uses for, paper clips or whatever. And those are kind of cool. It's kind of neat to see how creative and innovative they are. But at the foundation, at the base, this is not something that was designed to work this way. So when you tell me that you have a productivity hack, and you'll hear other coaches out there, other people who talk about productivity, saying this all the time, oh, check out my productivity hack. What I'm hearing them say is, this is something that wasn't designed to work this way, and I've kind of cobbled it together to give you something that sort of works. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but I want to have a proven system, and that's my word instead of hack, system that I can use to boost my productivity. I want something that was intentionally designed for the purpose that I'm going to use it for. That's what I look for in my own life. And that's definitely what I want to share with you, with my coaching clients, and with other people on the internet as well. I look for proven productivity systems, not hacks. Now, the next one, again, I know you've heard this. It's side hustle. This is so common. There's even people on Instagram and online that are telling you how to run your side hustle while you're doing another job, your full-time job. But for years, my mind heard hustler, and that meant somebody who was selling drugs, or maybe they were a con artist. Whatever it was not something that I wanted to be associated with. And I know that this is kind of like the word grind, right? It's kind of like grinding. People talk about their side hustle and their work ethic. They're hustling, they're out there getting it done. But instead of side hustle, I like to talk about my purpose-driven projects or my purpose-driven goals. I know if you have listened to any episode of this podcast, you have heard me talk about that. If you've followed on social media, you have seen that, right? It is such an important part of this idea of holistic productivity. And I know it doesn't flow off the tongue quite as easily as side hustle, but it reminds me and everyone else when I say this is my purpose project, that these projects bring purpose to life. They mean something to me. And they're important they're part of who I am. Deep down inside, it's something that brings me purpose. And if I can't be committed to something that brings me purpose, I mean, really, what can I be committed to? Like I said, purpose-driven goals and purpose-driven projects are so ingrained in this idea of holistic productivity that it is one of the pillars of the framework. It is right up there with your professional and your personal goals. So it's a very important part of that mindset and that mentality to make sure that you are including everything into your holistic productivity. Now, the final phrase that I want to talk about today, this is a new one. This is a relatively new addition to my list. And I am here today to tell you that I have banned hope. I have banned hope. Now, stay with me for a minute on this one. I know that sounds crazy. I know it sounds ridiculous. But I found myself saying all the time things like, I hope to launch my podcast in April. Or I'm hoping to run a 10-minute mile. And what I realized is that I was giving myself an out. I could hope to do this. I could hope to reach that goal. But if I don't, then I've got permission to give up because I wasn't really fully committed to it. I only hoped to do it. And it's nice to hope, to have that desire. But if it doesn't happen, okay, that's cool. What's next? Other ways that we couch our success and sort of, give ourselves an out is by saying, I'm planning to. But let's be honest, plans change. There's good reasons why plans can change. And that's just another excuse that we can use to say, I was planning to do it, but something else came up. So I'm retraining my brain and retraining my mouth to say, now, I am launching my podcast in April. I am going to run a 10-minute mile. And that one, I'm still working on, by the way. I haven't gotten there yet, but I am still committed to being able to say, I am going to run a 10-minute mile. It's that subtle shift. That mindset shift, that positive thinking that helps motivate me in those difficult times. And believe me, that difficult time is usually around an 11.5-minute mile, right? So it's just something that I use to keep me motivated, to keep it positive in my brain and in my speaking as well. And I will actually tell people when I slip up and say, I hope to do this and that. I say, wait, let me retract that. I am going to. And that's part of the way that I am shifting that habit that I have formed through years of giving myself the out to say, I am going to do this. So why have I banned these words and phrases? I'm sure someone out there is saying, okay, boomer, right? They see this as some old guy saying crazy stuff. And there's probably somebody else who has already stopped listening to this episode because they're like, come on, LeBrun, this is ridiculous. Of course, there's nothing wrong with saying, you're grinding or you have a side hustle. And I understand that it comes off a little bit like I'm unwilling to adapt and change as words take on new meanings and new definitions. Believe me, I'm okay adapting. But I believe that words have power. I believe that words have meaning, and I don't want my words or my thoughts to hold me back by putting negative thoughts into my mind. I want to approach my goals from a positive place. And to do that for me, I want to use words that uplift and encourage me. Like I said, it's a subtle shift. It's not that it's easy, but it's not that big of a shift either, right? It's subtle. It's a change. And I don't want to judge anyone else that does that. Like I said at the beginning, I'm not going to judge you if you say that or use those words. But for me, it's not how I want to approach my goals, my productivity, or my mental attitude. So let's recap. I'm going to go back through these real quick. I'll give you the banned words and phrases and talk about the holistic alternatives that fit in more with this idea of holistic productivity. Instead of grind, I use drive to talk about my motivation, my commitment, and my work ethic. I don't teach any productivity hacks. Instead, I have proven productivity systems that I use and that I share with you and with my coaching clients. I don't have a side hustle. I have purpose-driven goals and projects that bring meaning and fulfillment to my life that are outside of my personal space and my professional life. And I am no longer hoping to reach my goals. I tell myself I am going to achieve them, not just hope. I am going to achieve them. So again, just a fun little look into how my brain works, how I help keep myself motivated in just the smallest ways to say, look, I am going to approach this from a positive, holistic perspective. And just wanted to share that with you today. Again, use it however you will. We're still going to be friends. There's not going to be any judgment here. So again, that is the show today. Thank you so much for being here. Again, I love that you are prioritizing your journey with your goals, with your productivity by listening to this show. And just, it's humbling, honestly. Thank you. I appreciate you being here and making this part of your day. Check out the show notes on our website. It's holisticproductivity.com/24. That's for episode 24. All of the show notes will be there. Again, if you want to share that with somebody, you can. Make sure that you're subscribed on your favorite podcast platform or you follow the show, whatever that looks like. We're also on YouTube. That way you will get the next episode as soon as it drops on Tuesday. And if you want to go in there and rate the show as well, like it, give us a review. We would love to do that. Not because it makes me feel better, not because it strokes my ego or anything like that, but that just lets other people know that you are finding value in the show, that it's helping you achieve your goals or shift your mindset like we've talked about today, and that they should listen in as well. Make sure you follow on social media. You can find Holistic Productivity on Instagram, Facebook, Threads, LinkedIn, YouTube, Substack. We're all at Holistic Productivity. That's where you'll find it. And I just share a lot of tips and motivation throughout the week. In between podcast episodes, you can find a lot of good content there as well. Again, thank you for listening. As I said at the beginning, my purpose, my goal with this show, with the time that we spend here together today, is to help you dream big, plan smart, and live fully. I would love to know what that looks like in your life. Connect with me and share that with me. I would just love to hear what that looks like. And again, thanks for being here. We'll see you next time. Before I sign off, close your eyes for a minute, unless you're driving. But close your eyes and imagine this. It's Friday. You're excited for the weekend. TGIF, right? You're wrapping up the work week, getting ready to leave the office. But as you're walking out the door, you start to reflect on the week and you say, what did I even accomplish this week? It's a frustrating feeling and a horrible way to start your weekend. You know that you've worked hard all week, but you have little or nothing to show for it. If you've ever had these feelings at the end of your week, I have a special offer for you to help you on your productivity journey. I talk about it all the time. Being intentional with your time is one of the biggest parts of productivity. And one of the best ways you can be intentional is to plan your week. Planning your week provides clarity on your priorities. It eliminates confusion about what needs to be done, and it sets you on a path for success. Now, I've developed the perfect tool to help you plan your week. I call it my Sunday strategy, and I want to give you my Sunday strategy worksheet and guide absolutely free when you sign up for my weekly newsletter. The guide offers clear strategies for using the principles of holistic productivity to plan your week. You'll have a mindset shift away from the toxic aspects of productivity, and you'll get step-by-step directions for using the Sunday strategy worksheet. With my Sunday strategy, you only need 15 minutes each Sunday to plan out your entire week. It'll let you identify major projects and tasks that are coming up, assign those projects to specific days, and best of all, there are different sections for each area of your life: professional, personal, and purpose-driven, so you can reach all of your goals. My Sunday strategy worksheet also includes a weekly habit tracker to keep you focused on the habits that you want to develop. So if you want to avoid those Friday feelings of frustration and despair, you need my Sunday strategy worksheet. It's the perfect planning tool to help you build the winning strategy for your week. It's a resource you can come back to each day to keep you focused on reaching your goals, and it's an accountability tool to help you track your progress. Basically, it can help you have the most productive week ever. Like I said, it is completely free when you sign up for my weekly newsletter, which also features more strategies and tips to help you dream big, plan smart, and live fully. To get my Sunday strategy worksheet and guide, go to mysundaystrategy.com and sign up. That's mysundaystrategy.com. There will also be a link in the show notes, but again, mysundaystrategy.com. Look forward to having you back here for the next episode of the Wholistic Productivity Podcast.